There's a very specific kind of exhaustion that no amount of sleep can fix. You're sitting there bathed in the pale blue light of your monitor at 2 a.m. Your finger is hovering over the mouse. All you have to do is click send on that portfolio, or accept that offer, or launch that project. But instead your jaw tightens. A cold electric hum vibrates in your stomach. You feel like you've just sprinted a marathon, yet you haven't moved an inch. Everyone looks at you and sees a powerhouse, someone full of potential, a calm, collected mind. But inside, you're bracing for an impact that never comes. You aren't afraid of things going wrong. You're terrified of what happens if they actually go right. We need to get one thing straight before we go any further. This popular concept of imposter syndrome, this chronic, agonizing habit of procrastinating right when things are about to get real and change your life forever. It is not a lack of discipline. It is not a matter of poor time management, and it is absolutely not laziness. And that undeniable strength that people constantly praise you for, that remarkable ability to endure the mundane, to swallow the disappointing, and to quietly survive in environments that would break other people, that is not some divine gift bestowed upon you. It is a callus. Think about how a callus forms on the human body. It is a thick, hardened layer of dead skin that grows only because of repeated, painful friction. It is a biological response to damage, your stoicism, your emotional resilience. It is a psychological callus. It is a thick layer of emotional scar tissue born entirely from necessity, not from choice. You became strong because the environment you were in gave you absolutely no other option but to harden yourself or be destroyed. I know exactly how you operate. I know the silent patterns you hide from everyone else. You will work tirelessly, sacrificing sleep and sanity to get 99% of the way to your ultimate goal. And then, suddenly, inexplicably, you lose the crucial file. You accidentally sleep through the most important alarm of the year. You convince yourself with brilliant, flawless logic that the project just isn't perfect yet, so you keep it hidden in a folder forever and never publish it. You possess a deeply trained, hyper-vigilant mind. You can walk into a crowded room and read the emotional temperature of the space in a fraction of a second. You notice the microscopic shifts in your boss's facial expressions. You hear the microscopic change of pitch in a friend's tone of voice that signals they are upset long before they even realize it themselves. You are constantly scanning your environment for threats, but the tragedy of your current existence is that you are using this brilliant, highly analytical, scanning mind not to push yourself forward into the unknown, but to find the perfect, most rational, most ironclad excuse to retreat back into the shadows. You use your own intelligence as a weapon against your own progress. Listen to me very carefully. Let this sink in until it settles in your bones. You are not broken. You are not a defective human being, and you are not inherently self-destructive. You are simply a survivor walking around a modern, safe life, still wearing 80 pounds of heavy iron armor in a room where the war actually ended years ago. Modern society and self-improvement culture love to slap reductive, condemning labels on you. They call your behavior self-sabotage. They label you as cynical or avoidant, or they sit in a therapist's chair and claim you have a deep-seated fear of commitment to your own goals. Let's completely rebrand that narrative right now. We are going to strip away the guilt. These behaviors you hate about yourself are not moral failings. They are not sins of character. They are perfectly executed, mathematically correct biological reflexes. Your brain is doing exactly what millions of years of evolution designed it to do. It is trying to keep you alive. When you shrink yourself down to fit into a smaller, less threatening life, when you mute your own brilliance so you don't intimidate others, you aren't being a coward. You are deploying tactical camouflage. You are blending into the background because somewhere along the line, being visible meant being in danger. Let's look at the cold, hard facts of your behavior. Let's take a magnifying glass to the things you judge yourself for. People might call you a control freak, especially regarding your work or your relationships. You micromanage, you double-check everything, you struggle to delegate. But what is control really at its core? It is just the desperate, exhausting pursuit of predictability. Think about it this way. If you actively fail on purpose, if you subtly ruin the opportunity yourself before they can reject you, you are the one who controls the narrative. You become the author of your own tragedy. You don't have to sit in the agonizing, stomach-churning suspense of waiting for the other shoe to drop, because you just picked up the shoe and threw it out the window yourself. You engineer your own downfall because the pain of a predictable failure is infinitely easier for your nervous system to process than the terrifying vulnerability of hoping for a success that might be taken away from you. And what about that emotional numbness you feel when you actually get a win? That profound, chilling sense of being totally detached and hollow when everyone else around you is cheering and celebrating your promotion or your victory? You stand there smiling politely, feeling absolutely nothing inside. That is not you being a cold, unfeeling sociopath. That is an electrical circuit breaker functioning exactly as intended. Imagine a house. If that house is suddenly surging with a massive influx of unfamiliar electricity, even if it's the bright, positive energy of success, wealth, and grand new expectations, the main breaker trips to prevent the entire structure from catching fire. Your emotional numbness is a psychological fire prevention system. It is deploying against the terrifying, blinding heat of the unknown. Your brain prefers to shut the power off entirely rather than risk burning the house down with unfamiliar joy. But please do not just take this as a philosophical metaphor or cheap poetic advice. Look at the hard, undeniable neurology of your own head. Deep inside the temporal lobe of your brain is a small, almond-shaped cluster of nuclei called the amygdala. It is your brain's primitive threat detection center. It is the ancient watchman sitting in the tower of your mind. And here is the brutal, evolutionary truth that you must accept. Your amygdala does not care even slightly about your happiness. It does not care about your self-actualization, your bank account, or your dreams. It only cares about your immediate physical survival. To the amygdala, the word familiar is completely synonymous with the word safe. Even if your familiar reality is miserable, chronically stressful, toxic, and deeply unfulfilling, you survived it yesterday. You woke up breathing this morning. Therefore, the primitive watchman concludes that you will survive it today. But success, true, expansive success requires the death of your old self and the birth of a new identity. It brings vastly higher stakes. It brings increased visibility, meaning more predators can see you. It brings heavy new expectations from others that you do not yet know if you possess the capacity to meet. Your primitive brain views this massive paradigm shift the exact same way it views a physical predator lurking in the tall grass. It acts like a hyperactive, hypersensitive smoke detector. You receive a glowing, congratulatory email offering you the promotion of your dreams, and instead of releasing dopamine, your smoke detector screams, "Fire." It instantly floods your entire nervous system with cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you to fight or flee from the very blessing you asked for. When that biological alarm goes off, your prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational, forward-thinking CEO of your brain, gets violently hijacked. It gets thrown into the trunk of the car, and the primitive, terrified, irrational monkey takes the steering wheel. That is exactly why you cannot simply logic your way out of this crippling anxiety. You cannot outthink a biological reflex. You can look in the mirror and tell yourself a million times that you have worked hard, that you deserve this win, that you are qualified. But until you convince the primitive alarm system that the smoke isn't actually a fire, your body will remain locked in a state of absolute paralysis. And this biological tug of war is the exact source of that profound, bone-deep, soul-crushing exhaustion we talked about at the very beginning of this journey. Picture yourself sitting in the driver's seat of a $1 million high-performance sports car. You have your right foot pressing the gas pedal entirely to the floor. That right foot represents your ambition, your intellect, your deep craving for a better life, your relentless drive to escape mediocrity. But your left foot is simultaneously completely slammed on the emergency brake. That brake pedal is your subconscious terror of what happens if you actually move forward into the uncharted territory of success. You are sitting there, revving your internal engine in neutral at 7,000 revolutions per minute. You are burning through all your mental fuel, creating a tremendous, deafening amount of internal noise, violently tearing your engine apart from the sheer stress of the friction. And you are staying in the exact same place. You're exhausted because you're doing the work of driving 100 miles an hour without ever leaving the driveway. To truly understand why your foot is welded to that brake pedal, we have to look in the rearview mirror. This profound fear of the light didn't just spontaneously materialize out of thin air. We need to bravely look at the specific environment where your nervous system was originally constructed. We have to look at the assembly line of your childhood. For many of you listening to this right now, your childhood home was not a sanctuary. It was a psychological minefield. Maybe you learned very early on through harsh experience that standing out, even for something positive and good, instantly made you a target. If you were labeled the gifted child, you learned a very dark, cynical lesson before you even reached adolescence. Excellence is not rewarded with freedom. It is rewarded with an impossible, crushing burden. You didn't get a prize for being smart, you just got a heavier workload and higher standards that no human could sustain. You learned that success meant the absolute end of grace. One mistake, one B-, one moment of average behavior, and the golden pedestal crumbled beneath you, replacing praise with bitter disappointment. In that environment, the mundane sound of a car pulling into the driveway at 6 p.m. or the specific jingle of keys turning in the front door lock wasn't just background noise. It was a high-stakes weather report. As a child, you had to instantly gauge the emotional storm entering the house based on the heaviness of the footsteps. You had to frantically adjust your entire personality, dimming your light or hiding your joy just to keep the peace. You learned that being small meant being safe. Or perhaps your origin story is slightly different. Perhaps you were the parentified child. You were the 7-year-old acting as a couples counselor. The 10-year-old carrying the emotional weight of a depressed mother or an absent father. You were the one who had to hold the fragile family structure together because the adults in the room were completely falling apart. In that tragic dynamic, you learned a devastating lesson. Your own needs, your own childish desires, and your own ambitions were an active inconvenience to the survival of the family. To survive in that suffocating ecosystem, you had to routinely amputate your own potential. You learned to shrink your presence. You learned that outshining the fragile, shattered egos around you brought immediate isolation and resentment. And so you wired your brain to equate playing small with staying connected. You sacrificed your wings just so you wouldn't have to fly alone. And now you are an adult. You live in a modern, hyper-competitive society that constantly screams at you from every screen to grind, to hustle, to leave the past behind, to manifest your destiny and conquer the world. But there is a massive, suffocating elephant in the room that the motivational speakers never address: the guilt. You feel this crushing, silent, toxic guilt because you know deep down in your bones that to finally step into your true, massive potential, you might have to leave people behind. You might have to actively outgrow the family dynamics, the codependent relationships, or the old friendships that relied entirely on you being broken, available, and small. And society relentlessly tells you that blood is thicker than water. Society tells you that loyalty is the highest virtue, and that outgrowing your roots makes you an arrogant, cold, ungrateful person. I need you to listen to me very carefully right now. Let these words act as a scalpel to cut that guilt out of your chest. You are not cold. Think of a heavy-duty industrial water filter. For years, perhaps for decades, you pushed all the toxicity, the generational dysfunction, the chaos, and the emotional poison of your environment through your own internal system. You absorbed the dirt just to keep the water clean and drinkable for everyone else around you. But filters inevitably degrade. The shock absorbers eventually wear out and break. When you finally stopped pushing forward, when you pulled back from the family drama or the toxic friends, you didn't stop because you lost your drive. You didn't stop because you became a bad person. You stopped because you were quite literally on fire, and you looked around to realize that absolutely nobody else was holding a hose to save you. You stepped back to save your own life. You do not owe anyone your continued stagnation just to keep their fragile reality comfortable. You do not owe them your misery as a token of your loyalty. The debt is paid, you're free. And here, right at this intersection of trauma and potential, lies the most beautiful, tragic, breathtaking paradox of your entire situation. The exact same trauma that installed your crippling fear of success is the exact same forge that built your literal superpowers. Because of what you survived, you possess a telepathic intuition. You can navigate absolute chaos and catastrophe without even blinking. Because crisis is your native language, you possess a staggering analytical capacity that allows you to see 10, 15 steps ahead of everyone else in the boardroom, because your brain was trained to anticipate danger from every angle. You routinely survive pressures that would absolutely shatter normal, untraumatized people. You are, in so many undeniable ways, custom built for the very massive, overwhelming success that you are currently hiding from. The weapon was forged in the dark, but it is meant to be wielded in the light. But here's the final, definitive diagnosis of your problem. The problem is not who you are. The problem is not a lack of value. The problem is entirely about the timing of your tools. You are a legendary warrior who has finally returned home from the brutal front lines. The war is over. But you are still walking around your living room wearing 20 kilograms of heavy, rusted iron armor. That armor kept you alive in the trenches. It deflected the bullets. It absorbed the shrapnel. It literally saved your life, and you should honor it for that. But right now, you are standing at a peaceful garden party. You're trying to embrace someone you love. You're trying to sit comfortably at a desk and build a beautiful, creative future. And the armor is crushing you. It is suffocating your lungs. The immense weight of the defense mechanisms that kept you alive yesterday is exactly what is killing your capacity to actually live, feel, and ascend today. So the ultimate question remains, how do we actually take the heavy armor off? First, you have to accept a harsh, deeply pragmatic truth. You have to stop walking into a hardware store and expecting to buy a gallon of milk. You have to stop trying to extract safety, validation, and comfort from the terrifying void of the unknown. Success is, by its very definition, completely unfamiliar territory. It will always feel somewhat dangerous. You have to actively mourn and grieve the fact that you will probably never feel 100% safe stepping into your maximum power, simply because your nervous system wasn't wired for peace. It was wired for war. You must stop waiting for the fear to completely vanish before you make your move. If you wait for the absence of fear, you will wait until you are in the grave. The courage isn't the absence of the alarm, it is walking forward while the alarm is still ringing in your ears. You need a completely new directive. You must redefine the concepts that hold you back. Family is no longer just biological coincidence. It is a sacred structure built strictly on mutual respect, reciprocal effort, and shared growth. And the very next time you get that terrifyingly good email, or that massive promotion, or that creative breakthrough, and your throat starts to tighten and the walls close in, and the familiar panic begins to flood your veins, I want you to stop. I want you to do something deeply physical to break the loop. Put your hand flat, firmly against your own chest. Feel the solid, undeniable reality of your own body. Feel the rhythm of your heart. And tell your hyperactive nervous system, speaking out loud into the empty room, I am safe. This feeling is not a threat. This is just new. We are allowed to be here. You have to consciously become the protective, rational parent that your terrified inner child never had. You have to reach down, take your own trembling hand, and pull yourself across the terrifying threshold of your own immense potential. Because listen to me, this is no longer just about you. This is no longer just about your individual career or your personal peace. This is deeply, profoundly generational. When you make the agonizing choice to step out of the shadows and walk into the terrifying, isolating, blinding light of your own excellence, you officially become the cycle breaker. I want you to imagine a massive, catastrophic forest fire sweeping violently across a dry mountain. It is burning down generation after generation of trees, consuming everything in its path with inherited trauma, poverty, addiction, and fear. You are the fire break. You are the deep, deliberate trench dug into the hard earth where the raging fire finally meets the dirt and stops. You are gathering all the accumulated fear, all the subconscious sabotage, all the quiet, tragic failures of your entire bloodline, and you are standing firm, looking at the flames and saying, "It ends with me. It burns no further." You are taking decades of twisted survival mechanics and you are transmuting them into pure, unstoppable forward momentum. You aren't just succeeding to buy a better car or a bigger house for yourself. You are fundamentally healing the timeline. You are reaching backward to comfort your ancestors. and reaching forward to protect your descendants. You are the historical hero of your own lineage. So, take a deep, slow breath. Let the air fill the bottom of your lungs. Drop your tense shoulders away from your ears. Unclench your jaw. Let go of the tension you've been holding for 20 years. You do not have to be afraid of the altitude anymore. The air might be much thinner up here on the mountain peak, and it might take time to catch your breath. But I promise you, it is finally, beautifully clean. You survived the brutal, endless storm. Now, you have earned the right to be the sky.